We shouldn't be beguiled by ghost stories in the press. The idea that Nigel Farage's Reform UK is poised to become the principal opposition party in Holyrood after next year's elections is a spectacular delusion, a polling phantom more than a political probability. That this narrative is gaining traction says more about the hyperventilating state of political commentary than about the reality on the ground in Scotland. In short, newspaper columnists today want something to write about, and they're tired of writing about the personal animosity between Trump and Elon Musk, or between Nigel Farage and Zia Youssef. Let's begin with the obvious. A by-election is not a barometer. The Hamilton, Larkhill and Stonehouse result was, as Professor Sir John Curtis rightly notes, striking. Reform UK soared from statistical irrelevance in 2021, 58 votes, to 7,088 this week. That's newsworthy, but it's not a prediction. That's because Reform lacks momentum, not because it lacks everything else. Infrastructure, policy, depth, coherent leadership north of the border and any other real Scottish identity. It's because, in the end, Reform is self-destructive. Their Hamilton candidate, Ross Lambie, ran on vibes and vitriol, not on a vision for Holyrood. There's no Scottish leader, there's no devolved platform, there's no MSPs, and despite the headlines, they have no seat. To extrapolate from that one by-election that Reform will win 32 seats and become the official opposition is political astrology, not analysis. It's ridiculous, and Sir John Curtis frankly ought to grow up. He's spending too much time being interviewed on GB News, to the point where I'm beginning to wonder whether or not that is his natural milieu. Sir John Curtis is a national treasure, but he's also clear. These are projections, not predictions, and those projections assume a uniform swing, a fallacy when dealing with a country as geographically, economically and culturally diverse as Scotland, and John Curtis ought to know that's where he is. But we have to be blunt. Reform did well in spite of its campaign, not because of its campaign. It benefited from protest votes, low turnout and voter exhaustion with both the SNP and Labour. Reform didn't build support, it inherited it temporarily from those who stayed at home or saw no better alternative. By contrast, the SNP remains deeply rooted in Scotland's civic life. It may be battered, but it's not broken. And Labour too is regaining its footing, albeit shakily, and remains the only party with a credible claim to government in both Westminster and Holyrood. Reform has no governing ambition in Scotland. It exists to perform, not to legislate. And Reform is already fragmenting at Westminster. Zia Youssef's resignation as chair, following the party's flirtation with burqa bans, which today Richard Tice is trying to defend, and radicalised racialised attack ads. It's not just an internal spat, it's a symptom of the chaos inherent in Farage-led operations. UKIP imploded, Brexit Party, that fizzled out. Reform is next, it will go. Farage, anything led by Farage doesn't last. That's the point. He's a 2-year wonder. And the notion that Scots, who overwhelmingly rejected Brexit and consistently support immigration, would rally round a hard-right English populist movement is ahistorical nonsense. Reform's appeal, where it exists, is parasitic. It draws energy not from policies but from despair. This is where the media enters the frame. Reform knows how to manipulate the headlines. A pint in one hand, a scapegoat in the other. Oh, we're the only party that went up in the statistics. Well, yes, the only way is up if you got almost zero during the general election. The only way is up. It's Farage's signature pose. But press oxygen is not electoral viability. The Scottish public, rightly, is more concerned with NHS waiting times, economic stagnation and constitutional stability than with dog-whistle politics. The SNP, Labour, even the Lib Dems and Greens, for all their flaws, are at least serious about governing. Reform, as Kemi Badenoch has noted, is a protest movement in costume. It may shock, but it cannot sustain. So we have to treat the current hysteria with the scepticism it deserves. The next Holyrood election will be shaped by familiar forces. The SNP's bid for a 5th term, Labour's long journey back to credibility, and a nation still grappling with the consequences of Brexit, austerity and pandemic recovery. Labour may well get a few seats. Reform may well get a few seats. It may be huff and puff. But the idea that Reform will become Scotland's opposition is the stuff of pub speculation, not political science, and Sir John Curtis needs to mind what he says, frankly. Nigel Farage is not the ghost haunting Holyrood. He's a poltergeist knocking over chairs in Westminster, and even there the act is wearing a bit thin. Scotland is wiser than this, and so is John Curtis. Let's not mistake a flicker of protest for a firestorm of change.